You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers?
So do I.
So does he. He's Alex Jones.
It is Alex Jones.
On the GCN radio
TrendsResearch.com is Gerald Side. With us 20 more minutes.
From Austin,
then
Texas,
I'll open the phones up on vaccines.
Alex Jones.
I want to get to Aaron and Kyle and Rob and Adam and Joe and everybody else. I know Gerald's a big boy. He can defend himself. He has made a lot of accurate predictions since 1980, written best-selling books. But most experts, I mean, have been saying it's untenable. The Fed had said they were going to stop doing QE3. A lot of people I talked to said they have to. In fact, Kaiser predicted that the bond market would go crazy. It kind of did, but the point is things have gotten so artificial with the rigging, it's just going and going. But governments are digging in. The Pentagon says they believe a big crash is coming. I mean, Gerald's pretty mainstream now when it comes to actual financial analysts saying, some type of big collapse is coming. Look at the collapse in Europe. Look at collapses in other areas. But I want Aaron to be able to come back at Gerald. I mean, look, I don't care if you call in, Aaron, and disagree with Gerald and say you're wrong. I can just hear in your voice that you really enjoy saying you have been dethroned and all this. Look, I hope Gerald's wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope all these other financial analysts are wrong. You know, I hope, but that's not what the elites are doing. They're all buying emergency getaways around the world. That was in the London Guardian. So I talked to billionaires and insiders, and they are scared you know what. So, I mean, what do you say to that, Aaron?
Okay, you got me on my back foot. You asked me a question. Here's the thing. Gerald Slimton did not come up or coin the term bankism. That's another thing, and I can back up those first two allegations.
You got an audio problem. Hold on. And now you're going saying he didn't found the term bankism. He founded prostitutes. But it's a bunch of territorial nitpicking. Gerald, you want to respond to this guy?
Yeah, well, but first, I know who this guy is. He keeps sending me very nasty emails all the time.
All right, let him go then.
Yeah, here's the deal. I never said gold was going to go to 2,000. I had
You said it should be on this show, but they've rigged the market.
Right. I never said it would hit it. I said it should be added and over. I've said this over and over again. I never gave a date. Number two, on the rates. The Federal Reserve should be raising rates. Everybody knows it. And when they try to do it, you can see panic in the marketplace. I had believed last year that by March, or a year and a half ago, they would have to raise rates. They didn't. They kept them low. When rates go up, the economy goes down. Here's a fact. Go around the world. Every government virtually now is dropping rates to all-time lows. Australia. Go throughout Europe.
Europe just joined the QE, which says inflation, but then they're also deflating with the Saudis. Is there a strategy there to try to balance that?
What this is, by the way, I'm glad you brought up this deflation thing. Here's the big lie that they're telling people. They have to deal with deflation and bring it up to inflation. Here's what they're selling the public. Matter of fact, Brian Williams could pull this one off. Here's what they say. Deflation is dangerous because if people know that prices are going to go down, that means they're going to wait to buy things knowing that the prices are going to go down. That's a lot of baloney. The deflation is a depression. Prices are going down because there's too much supply and not enough demand.
Sure.
It's not only oil prices that are down, copper prices, iron ore, nickel, one commodity after another is down to 5.5 and 6-year lows because demand is off. Go and look what happened and the hype that no one's talking about now. Look at the numbers that came out from December retail sales. Oh, they were down. They were supposed to go up. Why were they down? Remember the big sales before Christmas? 50 to 70% off? Look who just declared bankruptcy. cachet yesterday. How many other companies?
J.C. Penney's closing a bunch of stores. Stay there. Yeah, and we're not happy that things are bad, but every real fundamental, 100 million out of the workforce, 50 million on food stamps. I mean, this guy's saying you're wrong, saying we're in financial trouble. We are collapsing. But they give us a sugar high. Oh, I mean, just it's just all over the place now. Gerald was saying it 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I was saying it because you could see where trillions in debt was going, thousands of trillions in derivatives, all this garbage. You know there's going to be some type of collapse. Governments are digging in. Gerald had said last year, or about 2 years ago, that he believed 2014 could be the time for this, that QE had to end. It's still going. Now there's a world race. So will it be inflation or deflationary? The Saudis aren't just trying to bankrupt U.S. shale producers or the Russians. I believe they're introducing depressionary prices to actually attempt to pull down the inflationary spike that we see in this Weimar money printing. But regardless, it's a juggling act as the real economy dies, as savings go down, as joblessness increases, as wages go down, as 40-something million people went from full-time to part-time under Obamacare. As that kicks in, and as Obama's energy policies kick in, I don't see how the economy won't implode. And now most analysts are just saying it's any minute. But who knows, in this Alice in Wonderland thing, Gerald, when do you, I mean, how long can this go? I mean, we've got all these big top guys saying it's going to, get out of the market. Doom's about to happen. What do you think?
Again, the volatility is telling the story. And by the way, these low oil prices, if you go back to 1986, that's one of the ways I made my name as a trend forecaster. It was in the Wall Street Journal. I had predicted that the crash of '87 in the beginning of the year, in January, I said the market was going to crash. And one of the fundamentals were crashing oil prices. Yes, the Saudis want to get rid of competition. But again, as I mentioned before, you look at the commodity prices around the world. You can buy a ton of reinforcement rod, rebar, in China cheaper than you can a ton of cabbage. There's so much product on the market. You go to any store now and you're seeing slashed prices of, you name the product. Now on the inflation, yes, it's a Weimar type of inflation. It's not as though in supply and demand, where there's so much demand that the price of the product is going up. What they're doing around the world is devaluing their currencies, so it's going to cost people more to buy things. For example, you look what's going on in Europe. Now that Draghi announced, and they knew that they were going to announce their version of QE, what has happened to the euro? Oh, it's at 11-year lows. No kidding. So now it's costing all the people more money to buy things. But the good
40% of young people are unemployed in places like Spain. We're in a global depression. They're just papering it over because production's been so high traditionally. We've got a lot of baubles and still have food, but even that is starting to wear thin.
They're papering it over with the word deflation. It's depression. It's not deflation. And that's the big lie.
That's right. Oil prices went down during the Great Depression. That's what happens.
Exactly. All the prices are going down, but people are making less and their currencies are being devalued, just like Franklin Roosevelt devalued our currency when they took us off the gold reserve. And remember, the dollar was pegged to gold. What was it, at $20 and something cents an ounce?
And then gold went up after that.
They called in all the gold, and then they repegged the price of gold to $35 an ounce, which means you just lost 70% of your purchasing power. It's called a depression. You go around the world, I was mentioning, at the record low interest rates you're seeing. It's costing everybody more to buy things, but what they're doing is they're juicing the equity markets. In anticipation of Draghi's QE, now you're looking at the European markets at 7-year highs.
Well, here's an example. They had Gibbs, when he was press secretary, said there is no drone program when it was a public program. And it's the same thing. There is no depression forming when there is one. I mean, it's this game of, I'll never forget, they had, whoever that blonde was, Perino or whatever her name is, as the press secretary. and they were asking her under Bush, you know, are oil prices up because the dollar's been devalued? And she said, I can't, you know, answer that. And they said, well, we need you to tell us if there's dollar devaluation, as if, tell us if the sun came out this morning. It's just total mind control. I want to go to some more calls here. Man, I wish Gerald was wrong. I wish I was wrong. I wish we weren't going into a depression. But all the indicators are there. I don't know exactly how it's going to go down, but it's going down. Let's talk to Kyle in PA. Thanks for holding her on the air with Gerald.
Hey, guys. Well, historically speaking, the collapse always happens in the last year of a sitting presidential term. And historically speaking, the collapse is always dramatically larger than the one previously to it. My question for Gerald is, what does American life look like in a collapse of the size that we're looking at?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
You know, I have a saying, when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And they're losing